to drive to work to pay for this car, buy this car to drive to work.
Welcome to Yellow Brick Road. I'm Jordan, and today I'm just gonna do what if I was Joe Rogan? What type of questions would I ask, as far as follow-ups or just questions in general? But first, before I get to that, please consider donating to Devon's Journey to Recovery. The GoFundMe link is down there in the description box. Click that link, read the story, then donate some money. I believe it's like a $5 minimum. So if you got $5 laying around, please donate it to Devon's Journey to Recovery. None of the money goes to us. It goes to charity, one of our subscribers and his wife. So please help out. It's for medical bills. We don't have single payer. I've said this over and over again. So please donate if you can at Devon's Journey to Recovery. GoFundMe link down there. I have to make sure my hand's in the screen. I usually do this, and my hands, you can't even see my hand. So I have to go like this. Yeah. All right. So before I start getting in the questions I might ask, let's talk about some positives. Not to say my questions would be a negative. It might be. You might perceive it that way, but just let's go over some positives. Things I think are positive. I'm not gonna play the clip, so it's fucking 2 hours and 49 minutes. I'm just gonna talk about it. So one of the positives is, well, one, he's very clear and explains everything very well and nice and detailed for, certain parts. You make sure, if you have no idea about any of this, you can understand what he's talking about when he says it. So I consider that a positive. Also, I took notes, by the way. He talks about something that I bring up. I brought up especially about Andrew Yang, maybe even a little bit Elizabeth Warren, in regards to what happens when these guys, they say they want to do this, and then they get elected, and then they get approached by a 5-star general. And it's like, oh, what are you going to do now? When this 5-star general or intelligence agent walks up to you and says, if you don't do this, thousands of people are going to die. So you have to do this. And they can sort of trick you / bully you into signing off on some sort of foreign intervention or foreign operation that actually is their end goal, right? Oh, maybe a bunch of innocent people probably won't die here, but I had to sign off because he told me they were going to die if I don't sign off on this thing. So they pull you aside and they tell you, I'm an expert. I've been doing this for years. Snowden brings up how these guys aren't elected every 4 years or every 2 years or whatever. They're just there no matter who the president is, right? That's those guys' jobs. They just stay there for however many years, 30, 40 years. So those guys with every incoming president, they tell them, listen, I'm an expert. I know this, I know this, I know this. You don't know any of this. So when I tell you this information, it's because I'm trying to help you out to understand. You see, Gaddafi over here is trying to, he has weapons of mass destruction, and we need to take him down because, he's killing protesters, unarmed protesters. They don't tell you how they fund certain sides and give certain moderates weapons to fight against the government and then turn it into a failed state, essentially. So that's why I say those things about Andrew Yang and sometimes Elizabeth Warren. Hopefully not Bernie Sanders, and I'm pretty sure not Tulsi Gabbard. I sort of give Bernie a break because I would suspect he would hire Tulsi Gabbard to handle those intelligence. She does have, I believe she has a very high security clearance, so she can handle those type of things. So I consider that a positive. Now let's go on with the questions, which are probably going to be seen as negative. You can just give me a thumbs down now, and then you know, if you feel like. All right, let's see. All right, here's something interesting. When Snowden says, Obama's really just trying to make things better at home, you know, all the good he's done. He's brought up phrases like that. And I would have to ask him, like, what do you mean exactly by that? What positives are you talking about? Are you saying he was just an ignorant guy, just making mistakes, just, trying to do the best he can, and, he's fighting against this whole machine, and he's truly righteous guy just fighting against the machine, and, they won't let him do certain things, and on and so forth. Like, is that the case? Or was this guy on, quote unquote, their team from the jump, and he's just following the prescription they lay out for him, which is, insurance companies, Goldman Sachs, the war industry, military industrial complex, whatever you want to call it. Was he just following whatever these guys told him anyways? Right? I mean, didn't he hire, like, Timothy Geithner and Larry Summers? Wasn't that like when people were like, oh no, this isn't good? Just had a financial collapse. We need to hire the people that caused it. So I'm like, oh, what do you mean by that? He was trying to do good at home. And, he just had a bunch of barriers in the way. That's the way he made it sound. Once again, anybody, please correct me if I get anything off here. If I misquoted him or I missed a section. Because I watched the whole thing through, but I might have missed something anyways. So please, let me know. I know a lot of people like Snowden. They throw him in the, in the whistleblower category with other people. Here's one. Speaking of other whistleblowers, no mention of Julian Assange. No mention in this entire thing. Not from Joe Rogan, who I'm not going to shit on. I'm just going to accept that he's just a late night host guy who just, gives other people platforms. That's his show. He gives other people platforms. He's not really an entity there. He'll ask the correct questions to get the other guy to talk, say his piece. All right, I understand that. You're not in the realm of being an individual there, trying to, like, man, I'm really trying to figure this out. It's more of, I just accept what the other person gives me, and if that's what it is, then whatever. It is what it is, I guess. But it's not how I would do things. So when I hear Snowden bring up Russia in regards to election meddling, he also brings up the U.S. intervening in Russia elections. So he points out both sides, but he doesn't quite give details of how Russians interfered in our elections, which would tie it to Julian Assange, which there was no mention of, right? He says, oh, yeah, the Russians did this in our elections, but we do this in their elections. And it's like, that sounds like Andrew Yang. Do you have the same understanding of how you would handle Russia as Andrew Yang as well? Like, is that the same thing too? Like, Russians interfered in our elections based on the evidence given by the intelligence agencies that I'm whistleblowing against. It's like, what? What? We know all this creepy shit they did? They lied with Iraq. They lied about a whole bunch of things, but most people notice the Iraq thing. And we're supposed to take their word for what type of meddling Russians did in our election. Because I can accept that narrative that they maybe attempted or whatever, but the how is the big part, right? Because there's a lot of people that are going to say, well, through Assange and WikiLeaks, who was working with the Russian government, they're the ones that did this. It's like, oh, okay. Or some other people might say, oh, well, the Twitter posts and the trolls on the internet influenced the election. I'm like, it's kind of sketchy and bullshitty sounding, as in people already believe this stuff, and They're trying to sow division. It's like, what? I don't know. That sounds like a child's narrative. But the biggie is definitely WikiLeaks, and they're releasing of the Podesta emails at certain periods of time right before the 2016 election. That would be the biggest Russian narrative, but no mention of it from Rogan or Snowden. And I would love to ask that question because I don't know. Some people have questions about Snowden. I do as well. I'm not saying he's good or bad. I'm saying I have some questions. Because, like, would you throw Assange under the bus? Would you say, I don't know what's going on? Would you say, I don't know what happened with him and the Russians, but he shouldn't be treated like this? Like one of those answers? It's like, you know. What else do I got here? For the conspiracy minded, you have when he brought up 9/11, saying that there was like 3 offices communicating with each other, like FBI, CIA, NSA, and them not communicating with each other is how we allowed 9/11 to happen, right? You put it in terms of, guys wanted better jobs, so they wanted to figure out the case themselves within their own departments, right? There's some guy in the FBI, he wants to figure out, like if, let's say Osama bin Laden's like, is a person of interest before 9/11 happens, and all 3 organizations see him as a person of interest. Instead of working together, the FBI on their own, this FBI guy on his own is like, I'm going to figure this out and it'll build my career and I'll move up. So I'm not going to share information with the NSA or the CIA. And that's basically the narrative he went with and said that sort of allowed 9/11. Now in the conspiracy world, they're going to say, fucking bullshit. Bullshit. Like that's the type of shit that Rogan would buy because he wants it to be that way. He's like, oh, people are just, stupid, so stupid things happen. It's like, it seemed a little weirder than that, man. With the whole project for a new American century, people say dancing Israelis, the bin Ladens being in the country as 9/11's happening, then flown out after 9/11 happens. The Saudi, there were a bunch of dudes were Saudi, but we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan. It's like, man, this is kind of weird here. So if you're a conspiracy guy, you'll probably be completely, you'd probably be like, Snowden has no idea about any of this, or he's a shill or something, which I've heard people say. I've heard people consider that because of the book deal and like he brings it up. He brings up giving the information to journalists, but they only release certain parts at a time, and he wanted it that way, which is like basically the opposite of WikiLeaks, which is whatever we get, we put out. Yes, we research to make sure it's legitimate. We make sure certain things aren't given away, maybe like locations, names, or like something that would put someone in danger. So, yeah, people have questions about that, which makes them have questions about Edward Snowden. And I say, ask away. If you're for real, there should be no question that should bother you. So yeah, I would definitely, as just a conspiracy question, what do you think happened during 9/11? Like, really happened? Give me more detail than guys just wanted to move up the career ladder, so they didn't talk to each other, so planes hit buildings. So yeah, it seems like there's a little bit more to that. And the whole NIST report, like people have questions about that, me included. Let's see, what else do I got here? I guess little things, sort of little things, not really, they're sort of negative, I would say. Talking about Obama having so much power, Like the president has so much power, and it's like, yeah, but they seem to be continuing each other's plans essentially, with minor changes here and there. It's very weird, from Bush to Trump and everything in between, even from Clinton. Probably all these guys, their policies seem to fall in line. And that could be because of the 5-star generals that walk up to them when they get elected and say, "We're the ones running the show. We know what's going on here. You don't know about this foreign policy stuff, so you let us handle it, and we'll do it for you." Maybe that's the case, but if you have so much power, I don't know, I'd have to quite like. It sounds like they're fucking complicit in it, rather than innocent bystanders, where the CIA just does whatever they want. And the president has no idea about it. Like, could he find out? I might want to ask that. Also, something he said about we all need to become like each action we take can be one brick in the house of fixing things or something like that. I'm like, it probably takes more than that, but I don't expect him to know much about, moral philosophy or anything like that. So I give him as much of a pass as anybody just walking the streets, because they're ignorant of it too. It's not a pass as in I just let it go, but it's a pass in the sense of, you're probably just, conditioned type person who thinks, just one glorious moment we can change things. I'm like, I don't know about that. This thing takes real work. So yeah, all right. I guess that's good enough. I think the biggest thing was letting the Russia story just fly by. No Assange, who's like going through a case right now. No mention. They didn't say his name. They didn't say WikiLeaks. They didn't go into detail about the whole Russia bullshit. Right? Doesn't Assange have like 5 counts of the Espionage Act? Right? He talked about his case with the Espionage Act, but not Julian Assange, who's currently going through, is a super high profile name. And they just skipped over that, I guess. Skipped over his explanation of the Russian narrative. They brought up Bill Binney, but they didn't bring up Bill Binney's how he understands the whole Russia hacking thing. How he says it's more likely a leak, which would, probably unfold the whole story and leave the mainstream's narrative and Joe Rogan's narrative, because he buys that as well. He had, what's her name? Renee DiResta from New Knowledge. Had her on, no problems, no questions. Tulsi actually questioned him about it. And, avoid conflict at all chances. At all times, avoid conflict. Just be a neutral thing. Be a fucking plant in the room that's just sitting there like this. I have no impact, you just speak. Damn, I said I wasn't gonna shit on Rogan. Alright, that's what he wants to do. That's fair enough. Whatever. Alright, that's it for me. Maybe put in the comment section questions you might ask, or information about Snowden that makes him correct or incorrect, or questions his integrity or what's he's about. There's definitely people in the conspiracy circles that think, like, something off with this guy, or they think he's, a plant or something. I don't know. But I do expect James Corbett to do something on this guy. And I consider Corbett quite legit with his questions and how he makes, how he puts out information, his documentaries. Very well-made stuff from James Corbett. CorbettReport.com. Check it out, please. Alright, that's it for me. Please subscribe if you feel like. Comment, agree, disagree, give me information. Like I said, request a video if you want. Just try to keep it like, 10, 15 minutes or shorter. That helps me out quite a bit. And if it's troll shit, I'm just gonna say no. I'm just gonna say no. I'm sorry. Donate. Devon's Journey to Recovery. GoFundMe link in the description box. Click that link and donate. Please. Not for us, for charity. So please donate. Devon's Journey to Recovery. GoFundMe link down there in the description box. If you don't like any of my questions, you can get the hell out of here. Yo, bro.
But now trying to tell us what to do, get the hell out of here. Young Turks.
Say you wanna get in, and then you wanna get out. When you get the money to buy yourself a castle, how will you wear your leisure? You zipper back and front on the fence together. Weekends in leather.